Hello, and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The Philosopher and the Fool. So you have this theory about sickness and how I was very sick recently.
Yeah.
And you thought it might be not just like a cold, but like the culmination of all my sickness and stuff suddenly coming out in a big old fight or something.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because I do, like, even though I still have the cold, I've been feeling way better from, like, even after I went through a full course of antibiotics for an ear infection and before that, like, all that, I'm feeling way better.
Now, what I found after certain sicknesses, not all of them, but after some of them is, like, when you're at the stage you're kind of at now, where you're still a little sick, you're still a little stuffed up and everything, and, like, you still sleep in a little bit in the morning and whatever it might, you need drink a bit of extra water, all that. You still, for whatever reason, feel better than you did before you were sick.
Yeah.
Even though before you were sick, you weren't sick at all in theory. But I think your immune system, it just kind of like, I don't know, it feels like it delays the inevitable for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's probably to suppress, like, you know how, like, there's actually a great thing you can do if you have a really stuffed up nose or a face or something. You can actually do like a bunch of push-ups.
Yeah.
And then everything will clear because you kind of go into like an active mode when you need to, right? It's the same reason that, like, when you're really scared, you poop your pants because you're like, I'm ready to go. I'm just, poof.
Yeah.
Everything's flushed out. We're just going. Or I'll have a class where I have to go pee before the class starts, right?
Yeah.
I'm about to teach a bunch of kids. And I'm like, okay, I'll just get everything set up and then I really have to go. I could barely make it over on the drive here. But I'll just get everything set up and then I'll get my assistant to run the class and I'll go to the bathroom. And then I'll teach the whole class and it won't even come to my mind because you're just in go, go, go mode. And everything just gets suppressed and pushed to the side. And at the end of class, you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a different thought potentially on... So, I went, I think, into, like, the final immune system stage.
Yeah.
Because you have, like, all the different stages that get activated, all the different immune cells, they slowly get woken up. And the final one is you have these really big cells, which basically explode.
Yeah.
And they spread superheated poison throughout your entire body.
What is...
Is that the killer T? No, not killer T.
No, I was just thinking there's actually a, I think it's certain mold treatments. When the mold infection dies, it actually becomes more toxic than...
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you actually get worse for a while.
Yeah, well, that is true because what can happen is you can...
So I imagine the same could be true of bacteria, basically, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, you can have mold throughout your whole house. And I mean, it's not good for you, but once you start cleaning it, the mold goes, hey, and acts like an immune system and it shoots its toxins out.
Yeah.
And then even if the mold's dead, those toxins are basically just protein chains, so you can't really kill them.
Yeah, but I imagine you could also get, like, sick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now you say you can't kill the protein chains, but I wonder, like, bleach denatures, like...
Well, yeah.
DNA.
Well, so
I wonder...
Well, my thought is potentially that the cells, those immune system cells going nuclear, that superheated poison might actually be able to break down those toxin chains of the mold or something. But I could actually feel it happening in my body, like there's different patches of my body that would superheat up and it'd be like rippling feelings in those areas of like little like rippling waves of heat and explosion and pain. And it was really bad in my ribs on like
a targeted fever.
Yeah, it's really bad on my back ribs. Well, I think it was like a full-on fight across the body.
Right there. Probably wasn't on purpose, but it's something I've noticed, and I think it's a modern construction. I could be wrong. Okay. Now, I don't even know if you noticed what you did there.
Nope.
You said the body. And I think it's like a modern, rationalist, liberal, sort of post-enlightenment construction. Disassociation between the body and the mind. And I think that, because it's something I've noticed, like, I don't know if it says anything about the person or not, but there's people that'll say my body and there's people that say their body. And of course, most people, they go back and forth, right? Yeah. But I think that there is a view of, like, so for instance,
Well, I said the body because I was dissociating because I was treating it as a battlefield.
Yeah.
That went on between things because that's what it felt like. It felt like.
But you could be fighting the fight, right? You think?
But in my mental image, it was like the psalm going on in there.
Yeah. But you're the one of the contestants, or one of the fighters in that. Actually, it's not new, because Descartes was complaining about people that try to separate the mind and the body as well in his meditations. So it's not new.
And it wasn't about separating. It was a visual construction of the song. So when I was really sick, I was listening to the book Hard Magic.
Yeah.
And one of the characters in it is a general who's being cursed by a pale horse.
Yeah.
And so he is basically dying from every single disease on Earth, because that's what the pale horse's curse does, is they can control diseases.
Yeah.
And so he had a healer who's constantly trying to heal him, so it was keeping him alive. But whenever it described the general, it wasn't good to hear that while I had the cold, because he's like propped up a bunch of pillows, and the narrator was really good. It's like he would do this raspy voice of a dying old man who was coughing and having coughing fits. And I'm listening to this, like, I don't feel good listening to this. Like, that's how I feel right now.
Yeah. You're just like, you're trying to escape and you're just brought back in.
Yeah.
Okay, so with your idea, so you think that there's these cells going out, you could feel the heat.
Yeah, the heat.
And so
it's like, it got really hot in the ribs.
And so you think that kind of reinforces one branch of my theory, you know?
Well, it's like an explanation, but it could also just be a part of the theory.
Yeah.
There's one final, just like, blurg.
Yeah. And so, but what's the
thesis?
Or no, it's more like, so you were mentioning, like, even with the antibiotics and everything. So you're saying that,
like, I didn't feel fully better after going through the full course.
Right.
I felt better partway through, like, on the recovery phase of the cold.
Do you think it's almost like you need to be good enough in order for the kill switch to be triggered? Like, you have to be in the right position for it?
I don't know. It might.
Or it's just one of those,
So I had two thoughts a little before I was sick, but while I was sick, which is like, if there's a God, why are there colds? Like, what's their purpose? Like, if you ever want to become atheistic for a bit while, get a really bad cold or become really sick.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because it's not like colds are a mechanism of the human body, right? Like, they're an invader, so it's like, why are there predators? Why are there wars? Like, it's the same idea.
Yeah, I know. But it's still, you're in pure misery.
Yeah.
So it can make you a little doubty.
Yeah.
But it's like, maybe it's so you become strong.
Or it could be a metaphor for the struggle of life, right? You overcome, you endure, and then you come out the other side with new HLA and chains, or whatever those are called. Yeah. Signatures, I think.
It's like, why aren't there any colds that do something nice for you?
Well, how do you know there isn't?
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's what I thought maybe a cold purges your body, gives it a refresh and makes it a little tougher.
Yeah. Well, like, there was that study they did with those animals where they raised them in basically as best they could bacteria-free environment, and the animals ended up being weak and frail. And so there might be something to a little bit of stress or struggle seems to actually improve your health overall.
Hair of the dog.
Yeah. Well, also I think there's just like imagine someone who every day they have like a gram added to their ankle weights versus someone who doesn't. And now they're both walking with about the same effort every day, right? Because the guy's thing's getting heavier and heavier and heavier. But there'll come a day when maybe they need to have a kicking contest against each other. And the guy with the ankle weights is going to win because he has much more force, even though he's roughly at the same level there, right? So it makes you stronger in a broad category, overcoming even a isolated incident. It makes you more broadly powerful. So there is... No, I don't know if... this is like we were talking about before, the teleological argument, right? Yeah. Like, you look at the end result and then say, what's the point of this thing? Yeah. Versus there might be just more of a, like, there is bacteria, and bacteria are necessary for life, and some bacteria go rogue, or they... And immune systems in all animals really are just these incredible, amazingly powerful things that adapt and survive to not just everything they've ever encountered, but things they haven't encountered at all. Like, it's amazing on that.
Well, no, I thought it was pretty crazy. Like, I've watched Korsakoff made a lot of videos on the immune system, but you think about everything that's going on. It's like there's these so your body gets invaded. Yeah. See there, I said your. Yeah. Instead of yours. The body. Yeah. Generalizing.
One's body.
Yeah, one's body. Gets invaded, and you've got these...
Your body is already general, technically.
Either viruses or bacteria that go into cells. I'm actually not certain how bacteria attack the body.
Yeah, well, I mean, it probably depends on the bacteria as well. Like, I assume flesh-eating bacteria just eats your flesh, for instance.
So viruses, they target cells and they make the cells produce more viruses.
Yeah.
And that just isn't good for you because you need those cells.
Yeah. Well, I imagine bacteria are just
multiplying and eating.
Yeah, well, I think more just like competing, because if you think about it in a very weird, abstracted from reality sense, a human is a cell colony and a bacteria group is a cell colony, and they're just kind of in the same dish. What are those dishes called? Petri dish, just competing for resources in the same dish. So I imagine that's not good for anyone involved. Mm-hmm. Although some bacteria seem to thrive on that really more than anything. You think they would just be happier like in the air and the dirt?
Actually, I guess positive cold, maybe the mitochondria was a positive cold.
Although I guess most colds are caused by viruses technically. Right?
Yeah, but maybe
like mitochondria or iver-mectin, right? Like that's another bacteria.
Well, I think it's a dead bacteria culture or something.
Right, but like mitochondria isn't exactly an autonomous bacteria, right?
But at one point it might be like maybe there was some grug caveman. I think it happened sooner. I think it happened when people were like single cell organisms or something, or like multiple. But it's more funny to imagine that there's like a grug caveman who, like, a bird flies by and sneezes on him. Yeah. And suddenly his energy levels go up.
Yeah. Well, there, again, this probably happened very early on, but there's a viral signature. It appears, right? Because who knows with these things. And this is based on memory from many years ago. But it seems like in DNA, there's like this viral, because a lot of DNA is actually like viruses that are just adapted into the DNA and stuck in there basically because they got copied. But this one weakens our immune system slightly to not identify foreign bodies perfectly. And I've seen it like hypothesized that this is the reason pregnancy works, like, because otherwise you'd have a slightly foreign body, like a baby or a fetus rather isn't really foreign, but it's like mildly foreign, and so it could get rejected, and sometimes they still do get rejected, but this this virus inhibits that somewhat, just enough to make the whole system work. So it's neat how even it's like the lessons are incorporated from so you can turn a bad thing into a positive even in a way.
Like you have a foreign invader inside the cell colony or a person's body. Yeah. And you get the cells that go, wait, that's not right. And they go and they see what it is. And there's like a bunch of different, it's all the same cell group, but they basically have different shapes to identify it. Yeah. And then they go to these other cells and they say, hey, do you guys recognize this? Yeah. And basically, like, you're going to the library, you're like a witcher looking for his enemy. Yeah. And if you recognize this, like, all right, we kill these guys by cutting them in half. And you go talk to you activate the killer T cells. That's the ones that they go and activate or something. And those are the white blood cells, I think. No, killer T aren't white blood cells.
Yeah. There is a different one that isn't killer T, I believe, which is kind of like the last resort one that I think you're talking about. Well, they have like harpoons on them and stuff.
So the killer T, they just go and they stab things. Yeah. And they like split them open by matching proteins to them.
I think white blood cells essentially just like
white blood cells grab things and surround them and make it so they can't move, and they sometimes eat them and dissolve them. Yeah. And then there's two other cells after that immune system, and the final one is the one with the harpoon that explodes. Yeah. It covers everything in acid. Yeah.
And it causes I think it causes health problems slightly for you as well.
Yeah, no, it's what gives people fevers. Yeah. Is that cell.
Because it's going crazy.
Yeah, those cells kill everything. They're the last resort. They're the best cell for fighting cancers, but those are what cause cancer to kill you. So you have...
Because they're just fighting like crazy.
Well, so you have cancer in an area, and it's taking up resources. And then if your body recognizes the cancer as dangerous, because sometimes it doesn't, but if it does, it will try everything against it and nothing will work. And the only thing that really works against cancer is those cells. And they basically surround that area and are constantly detonating, but you're filling your body with toxic acid, and then that can kill you.
But what's interesting is, like, it's not, like, as simple as just, like, there's these three killer things, right? Because there's actually, like, your immune system develops counter agents of some sort. Yeah. And I don't even know what that means. But, it can be specifically tailored for individual bacteria and viruses. And it's like, what does that even mean? That's crazy. But we talked about, I think it might have been last time even, the organ, what's that called? Donation? Yeah. And how you were saying, like, it's rare on mixed race families for kids to be able to, from either parent, to be able to receive
donor organs or blood transfusions.
And not just from their parents, but anyone in general. Yeah. And so I was reading a bit about that because I was curious. And so it was in the 1950s, there was a guy who was looking into that exact thing because it was blood transfusion he was looking into. Because he was they learned about first blood transfusions. They're like, okay, this is great, and then it didn't work, and they're like, what's that? Then they learned about blood types, and they're like, okay, this is awesome. But then sometimes even the correct blood type doesn't work. And so this guy was like, okay, what's going on here? So he looked into it, and he found, I think they're called HLA signatures, something like that. And I think they're in a lot of organs like the liver and kidneys, but they're also in blood and everything. And they're essentially a record of like every, like you're saying, that library, like of every infection that you and your ancestors have ever dealt with and how to defeat them.
Wait, so you have ancestral disease memory?
Yeah, and like how to counteract it as well, which is super cool. Like, it's like my great-great-grandfather had this cold, and that changed my genetics in a way. Like,
he fought the measles.
Yeah, and now I am immune to the measles because I have this signature. But the problem is that these signatures are also how your body says, this is mine and not foreign, right? Because if you're stabbed with a stick, right? Yeah. You don't want your cells to be like, oh yeah, that's one of us. You want them to like get rid of it, right?
Well, no, of us. Well, no, of us. And it turns out humans can do grafting.
Yeah. So you want them to generally be like, okay, that's not one of us. Let's get that out of here. And so what they use to determine that is the HLA signature. So if you inject someone with, let's say, a liter of blood from someone without an identical signature, that person is going to, it's going to be like you just injected them with a liter of viruses, like pure foreign viruses. And so that's going to cause huge problems, if not death, as it tries to fight this invader, which isn't actually invader. It's kind of a downside of the fail-safe system. Yeah. But
like if we didn't have immune systems the way we had them, you could like give someone else someone's arm and it would work.
Yeah. And that's why they do give you still immune system suppressors when you have organ transplants, because these don't line up ever. Like, I think the best bet you can have for, as I understand when I was reading, for this blood transfusion and for organ is your parents. Yeah. And then the next best is, I think, your siblings. Because you only get half of each parent's genetics, right? So your sibling can actually be totally unrelated to you.
Yeah, and your sibling can also be identical to you without being a twin.
Yeah, like both of those situations are so unlikely, they're never going to happen, basically. But it is possible for your sibling to be...
And your cousin can be genetically closer to you than your father or your mother. It's like one or the other.
Well, you'd have half from your mother, and then...
I think it's if you're like a male...
I don't know, because you'd always have at least half from your mother, right? So your cousin has to...
Well, no, because of how the XY works. I don't know if it's always half and half, actually, that you get from mother and father. I think there's something about that.
Because you're getting one chromosome from one and one chromosome from the other, right? So
is it you can be more related to your cousin than your sibling, I think, is it? Yeah, that's it. It's not the parents. It's you can be more related to your cousin than your your sibling. Yeah. I mean, you could be more related to like a random person on the street than your sibling, theoretically. Yeah. If you had like no in common DNA with your sibling. Yeah. Like in every single instance you got the other chromosome. Yeah. Which would be crazy. And I wonder if it would be... I think that
it would be more likely for sisters, I think, to be unrelated than for brothers. I think. Because the brothers at least guaranteed share some of the... Well, I mean, they're not guaranteed sharing the same Y chromosome, but at least each... They're having... I don't know if that actually makes a difference or not, but...
Yeah, no, I think it'd be... Brothers are probably slightly closer related than sisters.
Possibly. But I guess it'd be the X chromosome either way, though. Right? Yeah. So if you had, like, infinite brothers and infinite sisters, then your brothers would probably, on average, be more likely to be close. Yeah. Maybe that's how it would work. I don't know. But anyway, so I was looking into it, and so the problem with that whole situation, the problem is that a child that has a... So it was interesting, because one of the articles I was reading about this was a detective. Yeah. And he specializes in reuniting families. Yeah. And they found that DNA tests aren't as accurate as these for purpose of reuniting families, because your DNA test says, okay, your family's mostly European or something, right? Yeah. But he would do one of these tests and be like, okay, this HLA group is only found in a very small group of European people that moved to Ireland. And so we can now go to this little town in Ireland and we can say, okay, which one of these people looks like you? And then, okay, there's your long lost like aunt or father.
Well, he probably does a little more of like looking into adoption records.
Yeah, he does a lot of that, where it's like, oh, this person gave up a kid for adoption, and then the records were destroyed, and then and the date lines up because it was in this year. And so he does that sort of thing. But it was really interesting because he found that HLA is actually more accurate than DNA.
Yeah.
But the problem with HLA is it's pretty expensive to test, I guess. And and it's also, I think they said it was pretty good, but you do have to have a database of that stuff as well. But so when you have a kid of someone that's, let's say, like Angola, and then someone else who's like Mongolia, like you've got like Asia and Africa, then you have this very rare, unique mix of HLA inhibitors. And so there's almost no one on Earth that has the same collection as you, except maybe like your siblings.
Yeah.
Because even your parents don't have the same combination at that point in any close capacity.
Yeah.
So your parents are maybe...
So HLA is literally your blood is related to your soil or your region?
Well, I thought it was interesting because it's more to your history, right?
Yeah. But if your group didn't move, then that area has...
Because let's say you had a town in France where everyone was related, right? And the Black Plague goes through. But for whatever reason, there's a fire break, and only one half the town has the plague.
Yeah.
Those survivors are now going to have a different HLA history than the other half, because it's based on what happened to you, right?
Yeah, and then over time, if like both sides start mixing again, then
they'll both have that immunity to
their story will realign.
Yeah, but if they both like left after that point, even though they had the same genetics and the same home.
So if you had two disparate communities, let's say from like
classes, even like rich and poor classes, in like an aristocracy and
but let's say you like take people from Asia and people from Europe, and you have these two groups and they start living together, and they basically all have children. Them and their children would have troubles with this lineup, but then like the children's children would have closer HLAs,
but not to their grandparents.
No.
So, but them themselves, they could still interact. So you just need enough people to have that same shared history, basically, for it to work. So eventually, it kind of resolves itself again.
Yeah.
And I wonder, this is me more speculating than anything I read, but I'd be curious if this would be like better than, like, this would be more equivalent to ethnicity than to race, because I was thinking, like...
Well, that's what it seems partly like.
Like, imagine...
It's an interesting idea that it's the history of your people.
Yeah, like, imagine someone like Eminem.
Yeah.
So, the rapper. He grew up in, like, a black ghetto in the States, right?
Grew up in the Bronx, didn't he?
I'm not sure, but something like that, right? Yeah. But he's, like, this poor guy, grew up in a primarily black neighborhood. Yeah. Same culture and everything. And I don't know how far back that goes in his family, because he's obviously the exception in his family. He's the guy that became rich and gave his daughter this, she has like all the, all the nice schools and everything. Yeah. But if his family was there for several generations, whenever a flu goes around, maybe it doesn't get to the rich part of town, but the poor part of town, or maybe the rich part of town, they have some flu that goes around that doesn't happen there. I wonder if, let's say, I think Dr. Dre might have actually been in the same region as him. Yeah. So let's say Dr. Dre needs a kidney transplant. Yeah. There might be and the only two options that are his blood type are Obama and Eminem. Let's say, right? It might actually be more likely for Eminem to, this is just me, playing around, because they would have the same, medical history, potentially. Yeah. Versus...
that is an interesting idea.
Yeah, and I don't know how true that is or not, but it's a fun idea, at least. Versus, a rich Hawaiian.
Yeah, so before I was sick as well, I had this thought, which I really started thinking about a lot more while I was sick, which is, why don't we have quantum illnesses? It's
like you can put it off for when you need it?
No, it's you get a cold. Yeah. And it's either going to kill you or it isn't. Yeah. So it just, someone catches a flu. Yeah. And then they drop dead.
Right, they just skip to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think...
It'd be a lot more convenient.
Ebola is kind of like that.
Yeah.
But I actually do think, from what I've heard, I don't know if it's true. This is weird. When you read about, I don't know what they're called. Tribal, I guess. Tribal medicines. So South America and North America specifically these days. Yeah. But I would include folk remedies back in Europe, China, whatever, right? China's probably has the longest medical history on Earth of being more scientific than folk remedy sort of thing, right? Now their solutions were crazy, but they did have a process that they were going through, rather than just, try this herb, it works, right? Yeah. And so maybe not China, but everywhere else on Earth. And you read about them, you'll say I was reading recently, many tribes in North America use the it was boiled spruce bark or something when they were feeling sick. It made them feel better. And you're like, oh, okay, it's like when you have chamomile tea, you're like, oh, I feel a little better. But then you actually look into how crazy powerful poplar and spruce is, and you're like, wow, this thing, it wasn't helping them, it was curing them, right?
So what I was thinking, so when I had the cold,
Like, this is not a chicken soup remedy. This is like I'm better.
Yeah, well, so for me, it was... Alright, so when I've had colds in the past, I had like a bad cough.
Yeah.
I used to get like Fisherman's Friends and like various different cough drops. And basically all cough drops' active ingredient...
Methyl alcohol or whatever it's called.
Yeah, is methanol.
Yeah, methanol.
Brilliant substance as a numbing agent.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to it.
Yeah.
And it burns the inside of my mouth and leaves sores on like my throat and cheek wherever it's rested.
Yeah.
And so I can't...
The Scottish curse.
I can't take methanol. And so it's like, all right, this cough is really bad. I want to find something else to take. And it's like, I remember when I was a kid, I would get cough syrup, and you drink the little cup of cough syrup, and then you could get to sleep because it has like some properties for sleep. It's a painkiller. So I went to this store and I read through a bunch of different ones. Like, okay, this is all the symptoms I have. And I took a little bit in the car, but it did have a measuring cup, so I only took a bit. And it's like, okay, my cough is like, it's numb my throat area. And then the cough got worse and worse and worse. And then I got home and I took the full dose. Like I measured out, calculated, took the whole dose. And I just started coughing and I felt awful. And I looked it up. It's like, yeah, you can be allergic to it. If you want to test, spread some on your skin. If it gives you a rash, you're allergic to this kind of cough syrup. And I was like, oh, so I'm allergic to that. I was like, what is something that I might not be allergic to? I was like, should I just like go find a willow and like turn into tea? Because it's so numbing agent. Like just make some willow bark tea to pour down my throat to numb it.
I think for like a cough, it was spruce they used more. But you'd go numb from a willow for sure.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, is like just to numb.
But I think the spruce would actually make you feel better potentially. Yeah. Or maybe it's pine. See, this is the kind of thing you want to double check.
Yeah.
Because some things, like poplar, contain, what's it called? Quinine or whatever. Like that stuff that you use to cure malaria. Yeah. And that stuff's like toxic in like high amounts. So.
Yeah, well... I was actually thinking, it's like, I could really go for, some hemlock.
Yeah.
Because I was like, a light dose of hemlock's actually in medicine.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing you want to be careful
Or like a light dose of belladonna is also medicine.
That's what's in eye drops.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes your eyes wide.
Yeah. Well, but it's in eye drops for pink eye.
Yeah.
Because it relieves the pain and it's an antibacterial.
Yeah, but belladonna drops are also used for makeup.
Yeah.
To
make your
eyes wide.
Your pupils. Yeah.
Innocent.
Yeah. But it is actually, it's very soothing when you put it on your eyes. It's like, I think like South American remedies in particular, like the tribal remedies there, are like so, from what I've heard, they're so powerful. It's like you're either better the next day or you're dead. Like it's kind of like...
Well, so I ran out of vitamin D while I had the cold.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I need to go get more of that. Because I've heard studies that like it can cut down the length of a sickness.
Yeah.
And it's like, also I should get some vitamin C because that can help.
Yeah.
And I looked it up and it's like, so if you constantly have enough vitamin C, it can reduce the length of cold by 9%, but if you take it while having cold, it doesn't do anything. And then the next study I read is, if you have a cold, start taking vitamin C, and it can reduce the length of the cold by 30%. Yeah. It's like, well, these studies are contradictory to each other. I went through a large bottle of vitamin C pills in like a week.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain they made me better a lot faster. Like I felt better immediately after just eating a bunch of them.
So medical studies, that's kind of a problem I have with modern medicine, as in the way medicine is conducted. Because it's not very, I think there is aspects of it that are holistic, but in general, medicine isn't very holistic. It's like isolate the variable because they're trying to be scientific about it. Yeah. And I'm not sure you can be scientific about medicine because humans are so complex and our immune system is so complex and our healing system is so complex that I don't think you can isolate things and do them one at a time, really. But for a medical treatment to be considered effective, it needs a 30%... a significance. Yeah. So essentially you have to say in 30% of cases there was a positive change.
Hypothetically,
in your test group.
You could have if it works like this would be really annoying. So hypothetically, you could have alright, if you have the common cold, take dandelion soup. Yeah. Instantly cures 30% of people. Yeah. And then another 30% cure or 33% cure is you eat the spruce tree. Yeah. And then another one is you let a dog lick you in the face. Yeah. And so if you have a doctor who lives in the community and he will try all three of them on you. Yeah. And then he'll have his notes, okay, John Smith needs a dog licking. Yeah. And Sarah Gadsby needs to take...
dandelion soup.
Dandelion soup.
I hope it would be at... I'm not even sure if they keep track of that sort of thing. I hope they do. The positive results sort of thing.
But if it worked like that, that would be...
But that is kind of what they'll do is, like, with vaccines, for instance, they will say, okay, like 30% of people had a positive result, and positive is just, like, above the control group. Like, it doesn't have to be huge at all. It can be like they had a 2% better change, right? Now, I don't know, but I assume for something like a vaccine, and I would hope that they would make the threshold of positive be like 10% or something, because you are injecting, it's better these days, but it used to be you were injecting like aluminum or mercury into your body. So it's like, you don't want to...
It's still aluminum. They just stopped using mercury.
So it's like, you don't want that, right? But
yeah. No.
So you'd want, like, I want this thing to have a 50% chance to protect.
The aluminum is real, and mercury are really stupid.
Well, it makes sense. Like,
it makes sense, but it's still...
But you think they could use, like, cat dander or something?
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people are allergic to cat dander.
Yeah, or something.
But so continuing on with that though, they can have the other, like, they can have another, like, 68% of that group be completely have no effect from it, and they'll still recommend the medicine. And then now I don't know what the calculation is exactly, because if 1% dies, I assume they don't use it.
Yeah.
But I think they can have, like, 1% get, like, a little bit worse, and they'll still be like, okay, this is fine. But I don't think it's like 30% are bad, 30% are good. I don't think they'd use that. So
really weird one I heard is, I think it's the tetanus vaccine. I'm not certain which vaccine it is, but I think it's the tetanus vaccine. Has been used to treat Alzheimer's. Like, it might not be tetanus, but there is a vaccine for a disease.
Yeah.
That you can inject into people with Alzheimer's, and it will help, like, them recover from their Alzheimer's.
Well, that's interesting.
And
I think...
I wonder if it's, like, the secondary components in the vaccine that are the actual cure. And...
You know, it'd be funny if the actual cure is acupuncture.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you've got tetanus. There, bit of acupuncture, you're cured. Oh, you've got COVID. There we go, bit of acupuncture, you're cured.
So, on that, we talked about iver-mectin.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of difficult to research iver-mectin now, because it's either alt science or people calling it horse dewormer.
Yeah.
So I use the trick of going to Google and doing the search range.
You go back in time a little bit.
Yeah, I used the same thing for the RNA vaccine a while back. But so ivermectin is magic.
Yeah.
It was discovered in 2 different locations. The primary one was Japan. It was basically in a patch of dirt.
Yeah. So what does that mean, though? Like, are there, I don't even know who's doing this. There's, like, bacteriologists.
That's the only thing I can assume is there's doctors who scrape up dirt that looks like it has a bacteria colony and sees if they can use it for medicine.
Well, it wouldn't even look like it had anything, right? You just grab random dirt and be like, let's see.
Well, so the other case was a messy lab where a guy found some bacteria.
And then my question after that, right? You're like, okay, here's a unique bacteria we haven't labeled before. We'll call it ivermectin, sure. Okay. Yeah. And then you're just like, let's get some people and give it to them and see what happens. Like, what's the next step?
Well, I don't, like, the explanation when you read from a layman, and you read about it, you're like, oh, you found it in dirt, and then you do what you're doing, which is ask some questions about it, and start sounding really silly or strange.
Like, I assume that there is a history of things working.
Yeah.
And so for instance, what they might do is whenever you find a new bacteria, there might be 20 cultures you put it into to see what happens. So you're like, here's one that contains half human cells and half viruses. Here's one that contains cancer cells. And you just want to see what happens. You're like, is this useful in any application?
Or you might be able to look at it and go, hey, this looks like this other thing that does something, so maybe it'll work similar to this at 50% better.
Yeah, because you already have a grounding in there somewhere. And I guess if we go back, like, why are people looking at this at all, right?
Yeah.
I assume it started with, like, penicillin probably.
Yeah.
And now penicillin's a mold, but, you know, they're just magic cells that do stuff, right? So, so you're like, okay, this thing is like, this looks like penicillin, that branches out a bit, and then you learn, okay, this bacteria looks like that thing that looked like that thing that looked. So maybe it's something like that. Or maybe it is just like whenever you discover something new, you just give it the gauntlet of 20 tests and see if you get anything cool from it.
Yeah.
You're like, let's see.
Give it to a bunch of rats or mice.
Well, I assume you'd start with, like, cells, because instead of infecting rats randomly with, I hope, because that's kind of messed up. Just like, we have no idea what this is or what, why? See, now, I don't actually know how bacteria works, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So my assumption would be most bacteria would do nothing to whatever you gave them to, or would just give you a cold, right? Like, so I don't know why you'd expect it to do something unless you had a reason ahead of time.
Yeah.
But
anyways, ivermectin, I think, is in 2015 or 2017 in Japan. it's a medicine out of Japan. It wins the Nobel Prize for Medicine.
Yeah.
And why it won it is the team who basically developed it, because you can like develop it into a bunch of different strains and there's like different effectiveness.
Yeah.
Is they made a omni anti-parasitical.
Yeah.
And there's a different doctor who is saying there's like certain medicines on Earth which are sort of like world changing. There's like 3 of them. One of those 3 is iver-mectin.
The World Health Organization has a list of essential medicines, I think they call it, or something like that, and iver-mectin's one of them.
Yeah.
It's like penicillin, ivermectin. And
iodine might be out there.
Yeah, I think iodine probably. Vitamin D, I think, is one. Like
Epsom salts.
Probably, yeah. It's stuff like that, where it's just like, this just works. And it doesn't seem to have any really risk to using, and it's super effective. And although, given what I know about medicine, it's like, this thing works 50% of the time. Can you
No, so...
But no, it's like super effective.
Iver-mectin isn't like 50%, it's like 100% of the time, or like 99%.
Some of those anti-malaria medicines as well are like...
Well, so what this is the insane thing, is it's a generalist anti-virus thing.
Yeah.
But it's actually relatively recent, like we haven't had it all that long. In medicine terms, if it came out in 2017, that's a 9-year-old medicine.
Yeah.
And in modern medicine, that's still a fairly young medicine that needs more testing.
Yeah, because they take like 15 years, I think, to bring out a medicine.
But, so it was used majorly to treat 3 different diseases, which we generally don't get in the West.
Yeah.
One, I think, is like elephantitis.
Yeah. Oh.
Which is a really nasty disease, which basically causes your legs to become massive.
Yeah.
And it's
almost like a leprosy thing.
It's caused by some sort of parasite.
Yeah.
And it basically just completely gets rid of it.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy to produce ivermectin. You can give it to these remote communities, and it's like, you're good.
Yeah.
It fixes it. Another one is a disease that makes you go blind.
Yeah.
And if you start having it, it's just you take ivermectin and you won't go blind.
Just Jesus juice.
And the third one is some really other like nasty thing. And like maybe I think it's river disease.
Yeah. Like Giardia or something? Or
not Giardia, but it's a different waterborne disease. Yeah. And it just stops it. It's like a disease that makes you like crap yourself to death.
Yeah.
And it just stops it.
Yeah.
And then this works for these things and it clears out some other stuff. Let's try it with malaria.
Yeah.
And so trials were done with malaria, and it's like, it works on malaria, actually.
Oh, wow.
It's it does something that normal malaria medicine doesn't do. So usually when you malaria medicine, we took it.
Yeah.
You have to take it beforehand for several weeks.
Yeah.
And then you have to take it afterwards for several weeks. And you have to take it during.
Because malaria has like a 3-stage... Malaria is it's a parasite, but it's not an animal. It's a protozoa or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a single-cell organism, basically. It's like a bacteria, but not. I don't know.
It has a 3 life cycle.
Yeah. And so it's like, you can kill it once, and then it's still there, and then it's...
Yeah, and so...
But ivermectin works on all 3 stages or something? Or...
Well... Yeah, so there's a different medicine you can actually take if you get malaria now. We used to not have, like, if you got malaria, it was, you hope you survive.
Yeah.
And then you're forever weaker after.
Yeah.
It's like, you're more vulnerable to malaria.
You hope you're sub-Saharan African.
And then we developed a medicine that's been around, I think, for 10 years or so, which you can take it if you have malaria, and it will keep you alive, and it'll keep you better, and then you can like constantly take the medicine to prevent malaria. In the trials they're doing with ivermectin on malaria, it just gets rid of it. Like it was something like a 20% like reduction rate in it, and it was helping out. And it's basically the studies at the time were figuring out, okay, what kind of ivermectin do we have to give you for what kind of malaria you have? Because apparently there's different malarias. Then the sleeping disease, which I can't remember what that's called. You give them the tsetse fly.
Yeah.
They were doing trials of ivermectin versus sleeping disease, because apparently that's also a parasite. It just can like stop it.
Oh.
It can clear that out of you.
I've also heard, because during the whole COVID pandemic thing, there was people taking ivermectin and they're saying it's helping. And the counter argument was still pretty high in favor of ivermectin in a way, but it was basically, because I didn't read any of these studies, but what I heard was they saw this huge improvement in recovery rate from COVID if people took ivermectin.
Yeah.
but it was contingent on region. So it was like people in, I think it was like India were getting like the best recovery rate from COVID if they were taking ivermectin. And it was also certain areas of Japan possibly. But the correlation was these were the people that most needed ivermectin for other unrelated reasons. And so it was like, if your immune system isn't fighting 40 things and it's just fighting COVID, you're going to survive.
Yeah, so...
but that still sounds like a pretty good, like...
It gets rid of ringworm instantly.
No.
I think for ringworm, it has to be, like... That's the thing is, you can apply ivermectin topically as a cream. You can eat it for inside your body. There's... That's why it's called paste.
Do you think, like...
But it's an omni medicine. It actually just gets rid of parasites. I told you this earlier, but the main health risk from ivermectin, because there's like certain things like, oh, it might cause high blood pressure. It has a chance of making your liver fail.
Yeah. Oh, aspirin, I think, is on that list of like medicines.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so ivermectin's risk, its health problem, which they worry about, is if you're too riddled with parasites, it will kill all of them.
Oh,
and then your body's
poison overload. Basically.
Your body's full of dead parasites,
and
that's toxic. That is the main health risk of ivermectin. Is it can put you into I think it's like bionecrosis shock or bionecrotic
septic shock or something.
Yeah, that's it. Septic shock.
Yeah,
and
I wonder.
Septic shock is actually quite dangerous.
Yeah. But you could probably take antibiotics, right, in theory.
Well, septic shock is quite dangerous, but if you know you have it, you basically just treat it by giving the person a bunch of like proteins and nutrients and make them like drink so much water that they just flush their system.
Right, so you got to be ready. But it is interesting that when penicillin was discovered back in like the early 1900s, it was like, okay, it was called the panacea.
Yeah.
And there was this, so panacea, pan means all, and sea, I think, means cure. And so there was this idea of the thing that could cure anything.
Yeah.
And when they discovered penicillin, they're like, wow, you have a problem? We give you penicillin. You're better. And it's just, this is magical. We can just fix everything with penicillin. Yeah. And then it turned out you can't really fix viruses with it. And also bacteria is the most adaptable thing on Earth.
Yeah.
So I do wonder with ivermectin if, because it seems like now I'm sure that the people in the
so parasites do adopt way slower.
Yeah.
Because they're basically little creatures.
Yeah, well, depending on that.
Yeah.
But the people in the industry, I'm sure, have this at the back of their mind.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're just throwing it out like candy in the streets. But I do wonder if, like, we're like, oh yeah, this is, just give them ivermectin, and then suddenly, that might be why it's less, because, you know, we do insane stuff. Like, this is sounding, it's funny because we're not actually, like, going to any, I would call, fringe, like, conspiracy territory right now, like we normally do. But...
we'll get there, don't worry.
But they put fluoride in drinking water, right?
Yeah.
And chlorine in drinking water. And now, chlorine makes more sense, but the fluoride one, it's like, this is a medicine that can strengthen your teeth, right? And it's like, is it that much of a benefit that we're putting that in drinking water? And now, they don't do that everywhere either.
Yeah.
I don't think they do that up here, actually. But it's funny because you take that and you compare that with... what was I going with? Right, like ivermectin, right?
Yeah.
They don't put ivermectin in drinking water.
No.
Right. And it's probably for the best, but it is funny, like, what makes you decide that this is the... Because you're saying it has no side effects, but I think the side effect could just be that things adapt, things get...
Well, so back in 2019 and 2018, they started doing trial experiments on ivermectin in rodents because it was noticed that, hey, I took ivermectin... like this anecdotally, someone say, hey, I took ivermectin because like I had ringworm or something.
Yeah.
And it fixed a different problem.
Yeah.
And so there's looking at ivermectin, and it turns out to be also anti-inflammatory. Like really anti-inflammatory. And inflammation is one of the main killer diseases.
Yeah, which is strange, right? Because just imagine, like, I've been wondering about this for a while, right? Let's say you have this magical anti-inflammation medicine, right? No side effects whatsoever, just gets rid of inflammation. You take it every day, you have zero inflammation, like it's perfect, right? Wouldn't you die from like a virus? Because don't...
No, so I was curious about this too, because you're getting inflamed because you're sick somewhere.
Yeah.
So basically what that is, if we go back to the Psalm reference, is inflammation is the crater holes from mortars.
Right. So it's more of a side effect than a necessary thing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And so that's why you want to reduce inflammation, is because it's tearing you up.
I was wondering about that, like when my, I think I did have RSI, and I might still, but it seems like it was more of a bacterial problem in the end. But regarding, I was wondering if I iced my arms that were in pain, would I be slowing down the healing to my tendons? Because I figured that when your tendons are injured, it must be being inflamed for a reason of some sort, right? Like having things move or making heat supported or...
Yeah, well, things moving stuff that's causing friction is bad, but it's basically like your car is going to get hot.
Yeah, but you don't want to like have your engine frozen either, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but maybe you want to... I always find it a little suspect. This is with stretching and exercise as well, actually. When you have to act outside in, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think there's some obvious cases where it makes sense. Like, you have a stick through your hand.
Yeah.
You can pull the stick out. Like, I think you're okay there. But I do wonder, like, when you're stretching, if you should... Like, I used to... For sit-ups, this would be my example for exercise. I don't do sit-ups against the wall. Like, I don't put my toes against the wall so I don't slide out. I just go in the middle of the floor where I do slide out a lot.
Yeah.
But I figure that's probably safer than having an external force limiting the motion, because I think that's how you can probably get a strain going on.
Yeah.
Now, I could be totally wrong here, but it's just my theory, and it's the same thing with cast or now I think casts, they seem to work pretty good when we do them, but I am a little leery most of the time because the cast is actually preventing other external forces from acting on you rather than being an external force.
Just some sort of weird supernaturalist, and I don't mean like supernatural, but
just like only natural.
Yeah.
Well, no, I just think that let's say the evolutionary forces at the very least that created this body knew what they were doing.
I disagree. I used to think that way. I don't think that way anymore.
Yeah.
Because you look at some creatures that exist on Earth.
Yeah.
And you also look at what humans can do with selective breeding to a pug.
Yeah.
And
but that's an external force. That's selective breeding.
Yeah, but there's going to be external forces of humans acting on other humans.
But
like there's cousin marriage.
Right, but that's...
And there's the Heisenbergs.
But I think the Habsburgs.
Habsburgs,
But I think the cousin marriage is like unusual, and it's decried by most cultures as well, right? Like there's
But what I'm saying is it's not a perfect system.
Right, but I don't know. I think we should very rarely be the ones playing God, right? Like I don't know how often we're like shoes, for instance, right?
Yeah.
It's a little dodgy, isn't it? Like, oh, we get this arch support and whatnot. I think...
And also compress your toes together.
Yeah. Like, I think that...
Now, here's my counter-argument to that.
Yeah.
Is, it's currently -30 outside.
Yeah.
So, Mr. All-Natural, you're going to die.
Well, no, I think...
So, you shouldn't be living here.
No, like I said, I think there is certain things that we're better at.
Yeah.
So, I think you should wear shoes. But I don't think you should have, fancy, air compression in the heel. And, person I know, she's like a super runner.
Yeah.
She has carbon fiber what would you call it? Like a dome, a carbon fiber dome in her shoes, so that they don't bend when you're running. So it's kind of forces you to be like Blade Runner, I guess.
Yeah.
When you're running. And look how Oscar Pistorius ended up. He's in prison, so you shouldn't play with nature. Clearly, is the one day you think I'm just helping people walk who can't walk. The next day they're murdering their girlfriends, and then do you think he could have caught her? That's horrible.
So,
oh man, that's actually horrible.
Back to iver-mectin.
I kind of want to apologize for that joke. That's so bad.
Okay.
I don't think I will, but I'm on the edge of it.
So back to the iver-mectin.
Yeah.
So early trials looking at inflammation, and then in the anti-inflammation thing is also finding that, hey, this actually just works on some viruses and bacteria. It was they're starting to do trials in certain diseases. There's 3 diseases they identify. It's iver-mectin seems to actually just help with these diseases.
Yeah.
And then it's hey, the nature of how this works to prevent, because it's not only is iver-mectin kills parasites, it also prevents infection afterwards. If you start taking iver-mectin, it can prevent future infections. And it's the nature of how it does it, which from the brief amount of reading, I'll do studies and my little bit of understanding, is basically your cells have these vulnerable receptors on them because of the shape that they are.
Yeah.
And that's where they get attacked by parasites and viruses. And the iver-mectin basically just acts as a bouncer, saying, nope, you can't come.
So it bonds to that harmlessly or something.
Yeah.
And basically caps it off.
Yeah. Or makes a door. And so the smaller things that still need to get in can get in. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it basically says, you things aren't allowed to grab on. And it could even be that your cell has 3 doors. And the ivermectin binds onto one of those doors, and it works perfectly fine with 2 doors being open. And then a disease needs to come along and grab onto all 3 doors to infect that cell. So who knows? But this is basically can block cancer from spreading and taking over cells wrongly, and it can also target cancer and stop the cancer from even growing. And so they're like, maybe we should try to use this as a cancer treatment. So they started wanting to try to do trials on cancer with ivermectin. And then there's a whole bunch of anecdotal stories you can read online now, which is someone said, yeah, I had a colon cancer and I took ivermectin and it went away.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, I had leukemia. And I took ivermectin and my leukemia went away. And like the doctor was shocked. And it's like, or someone's like, yeah, I had cancer and they were worried about like, before putting me on chemo, they were worried about like some parasite infection I had. So they gave me ivermectin to try to treat that. So then they could put me on the chemo.
And then it was just better from that.
Yeah. And then other people who've had, gone through chemotherapy saying, yep, I took ivermectin during the chemo phase. And it's like helping me recover from the chemotherapy really quickly. And also like I'm on chemo for the cancer. And I don't know if it's like the ivermectin supports the chemo and makes it so it's just a healthier process, or if they're working together, but the cancer like died out way faster by having both happen at the same time.
I want to add like a bit of a PSA to this. Because it's something I didn't realize, like I didn't know until recently, and it could be, it'll depend on the case, but I think it's really important. Doctors, like cancer doctors specifically, I guess, maybe other doctors too, but cancer doctors are human.
Yeah.
And what I mean by this is that they're not like these scientific automation machines. And so what I've heard is, if you want to try, like you have cancer and you're looking for anything, right? Obviously you would be. And you want to try like ivermectin or something. You can talk to your doctor and be like, hey, I've heard this. I don't, it might be crazy, but I just want to take the chance. And the doctor will often help you out, because cancer doctors in general, as I understand it, they're basically like, you can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't mess with the real medicine that we're going to put you on. And because you do not want to be on a medicine that conflicts with the ivermectin and have the clash. But what I'm getting at is not so much be afraid of the doctor. It's more like talk to them and be like, hey man, can I try this? I'm just willing to try anything. And then the doctor can say, let me check what medicines you're on. Yeah, no, it should be fine to try it. You can try turmeric. You can try, go for it. And
part of the reason I might do that is purely for the placebo.
Yeah, but they're also just happy, like they're happy because they don't know. And they're also like, I get it. If I had cancer, I'd be like, I want to try everything.
Yeah.
And they work with that every day. So they're going to be, now it's going to, like I said, it'll depend on the doctor. But in most cases, they're going to be like...
You're also allowed to switch doctors.
Yeah. But they're going to be like, yeah, no, let me, well...
You are.
I mean, somewhat. In Canada, it's a bit more...
It's difficult in Canada to do it.
So if you go to the clinic here, you go to their website, right? And you say, okay, me and my doctor do not get along. What do I do? It says, deal with it. Like, it just says deal with it. Like, it doesn't say it in those words. It says, you can't change, so you'll just have to try to get along with them and try to resolve your differences. And
well, we have at least one private practice that I know of up here.
Yeah.
Which is always booked and really expensive, hard to get into.
Yeah.
But... if you have like nepotistic knowledge of the people, you can get into those and they can give you alternative treatment.
Yeah, like it's possible in situations this way. Yeah. I mean, like you look at Jordan Peterson famously went to Russia when like no doctor would treat him in Canada, right? So so there is options outside of that. But I also wonder if his whole Daily Wire plus massive sponsorships plus movie, like all that mess he did, right, was to get out of debt from like the crazy amount of medical costs he incurred from everything he was doing, which it would be a shame if that was the case. But
I doubt it. He made a lot of money.
Yeah, but he also spent a ton of money. Like his daughter's been dealing with massive health problems forever, right? Like he's been hemorrhaging money for like decades.
Yeah, but his books all sell quite well.
Well, now, but like he became famous in like 2015, right? Yeah. And he had been spending for like decades at that point money on his doctor.
Well,
on his daughter, sorry.
Yeah. I do wonder if his current, back to our starting conversation, if his current bout of sickness is the final collapse of like all of his health stuff. Finally, like he's actually doing the
and he's actually starting to heal now.
He's doing the final battle against it.
Yeah, and he'll get. But I heard this is like 6 degrees of hearsay.
Yeah.
But there was a recent Joe Rogan that had Michael Malice on it.
Yeah.
And Michael Malice did a show with Michaela Peterson.
Yeah.
And Michaela Peterson indicated to him after the show that her father was doing better, and then Michael Malice told Joe Rogan. So my very close sources tell me he actually might be doing better now, which is very heartening to hear.
But so the unfortunate thing about iver-mectin though, is it is what's it called? Not vilified, but like someone's outcast from society.
Sort of
pride.
Oh yeah, or well, it might be a bit extreme, but like ridiculed or something.
Yeah, it's called horse paste or horse dewormer.
Yeah,
and it's partly because Joe Rogan took it to deal with COVID.
So that's where the doctor PSA came in, because in theory, now I think vaccine medicine, for whatever reason, probably because of the pushback against vaccines, is like the most militant field of medicine.
Yeah.
Although I had an optometrist that was crazy.
And I've had dentists.
Yeah. I've had some bad dentists. Hygienists, actually. I've never had a bad dentist, but I've had some hygienists.
I've had some bad dentists. Okay. I've had like 2 brilliant dentists, and then the rest have been bad. One of them actually, she might be in jail.
So pretty bad.
Yeah, it's and she was an elementary school dentist.
And I think the difference actually is, if you're a cancer doctor, your job is to deal with people on the worst day of their life every day. So you have to be like the most compassionate person on earth, right?
Yeah.
If you're a dentist, you're trained on bodies, like dead bodies that don't feel pain. Like it's a totally different mindset.
It's like, let's get some leverage here, like really work my arms.
Yeah. Like, have you seen those memes where it's like osteopaths like it shows like it'll be like a family doctor preparing for the day, right?
Yeah.
And so it shows the family doctor, like they're getting their paperwork out on the file on the patients and everything. And then it's like, like cancer doctor, it's them like sitting at the bedside, like talking to the person, looking up the latest research on cures and everything. And it's like osteopaths getting ready, and they're like at the gym, like, they're like, I'm ready to break some bones. Yeah. So there's definitely like a, let's just break stuff sort of meme about them at the very least. But where we were talking, the pryness of... Yeah. So I think vaccine doctors are some of the more extreme about that, but that's why it's important to keep in mind that the cancer doctors aren't.
Yeah.
Because in theory, you should be able to go to the people in charge of the vaccines and say, hey, I'll take the vaccine. Can I also like supplement it with ivermectin or something?
Yeah.
But the other problem, I think, from the vaccine doctor's point of view, to be fair to them, is with the cancer patients, most of them will be like, yeah, no problem, I'll do the chemo, and can I also take turmeric or whatever?
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, yeah, totally fine. But the problem with the vaccine, from the vaccine doctor's point of view, is a lot of patients say, I don't want to take the vaccine, I'm going to take ivermectin. And then that's where they want to control the narrative there, because they feel like it's the only way to get people to listen to them.
Yeah.
It's so sad, because it happens all the time. I don't think it really matters who the person is either. But once they're in power, or even not in power, they're like, the only way I can get people to listen to my truth is to control the narrative.
Yeah.
Because and they don't believe that they're like being evil. They're just like, look, I just have to help people, and I need to tell them what to do in order to do it, because they won't do it otherwise. They're idiots. It's the Inquisitor from Jesus and the Inquisitor story in the Brothers Karamazov.
Yeah.
It's just like, they don't know what they need. I'm going to take care of them. I will give them bread. I will tell them what to do, because it's too much work for them to figure it out themselves. They can't live in the desert off insects and nettles like I did. Because the doctor knows the ins and the outs and it doesn't always work, but on average, this is much more important.
Yeah.
But the problem with not standing on principle is that everyone can see it, and their trust actually goes down.
Yeah.
And I think if we had another pandemic soon, like in 100 years, it probably won't matter. But if we have one in the next 5 years, nobody's going to believe a word the governments or doctors say.
Yeah.
Because they were doing some really dodgy stuff for the greater good.
Yeah.
But it was really dodgy. And for the greater good is never a statement you want to be saying.
Yeah. And this is where the conspiracies come in.
Yeah.
Is, what if ivermectin is a panacea?
Yeah.
It's really cheap panacea then.
Yeah.
And then you can't make money off cancer treatments and vaccines and all that stuff. It's just, take some ivermectin, because it is magic that comes from Japanese dirt.
Yeah. It's animated.
Yeah.
What happened actually was the second coming of Jesus happened in Japan, but no one was there. They couldn't understand
him. It was just dirt he walked on.
Because he was speaking Latin, right? So they couldn't understand him. And it's the dirt he walked on. And so he's just like, fine, I'm going home. And
yeah.
But it's the magical Jesus dirt.
Yeah, but it's do you know the Shroud of Turin? Sorry, there is unique bacteria. In the Shroud of Turin.
Interesting. Jesus bacteria.
So
have they tried giving it to rats?
I don't know about that, but there's a unique. It's either a unique moss or bacteria. It's a moss or bacteria, some small life form in the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah.
And it's theorized that there's been people purportedly, like this is hundreds of years ago, who were swaddled in the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, and it cured them.
And there's theories
that it was like penicillin or something.
It's the thing in it basically was that. Like it's some special kind of penicillin or
iver-mectin. Yeah. I mean, that could very well be.
Mm-hmm.
And at what point... It's funny with the scientific revolution, but at what point are we allowed to say, yeah, it's just a mold in the Shroud of Turin? Yeah. Well, that's still pretty magical. I mean, like at what point, it's like, yeah, we understand a bit better the principles of the magic, but it's still magic, right?
Yeah, there's still a magic Jesus moss in the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, but actually, like, I think the foot like bacteria actually has a pretty good case, because you know when Mary like washed his feet with her hair, like she was just trying to get a luxurious flow. She just wanted that magical Jesus feet on her hair so she could
Mary Magdala.
Yeah, so her hair was just like just beautiful.
But it's it is like there is the conspiracy theory stuff on the iver-mectin if it's this super thing, and then it's also maligned, which is unfortunate because that's basically stopping those studies of. Actually, let's look at studies of this in cancer. Let's look at studies of this in inflammatory infections.
I hope that there is no conspiracy. But there might be incentives that make people not look as hard as they should.
Yeah.
But just the...
Well, there might also... Less than a conspiracy. Like, the more likely conspiracy than evil people trying to make money is actually people being petty. What I mean by that is them going... Ivermectin's the stupid horse dewormer. I'm not going to do a study on the stupid horse.
That's what I mean. Like, they're not looking as hard as they should be.
Yeah.
But that's not a conspiracy, right? Because a conspiracy is actually a concerted effort where people talk together, conspire.
Yeah.
Like, con as in together.
Yeah.
Spire as in great deck builder. And then they are... So they're actually working together to ignore the looking at the cure, right?
Yeah.
And the amount of people that would have had to have discovered that and then been shut down... And not one of them's a whistleblower. And all of them lacking that humanity is too many for me to want that to be true, basically. Yeah. Like, that would be hundreds of people, right, that are just like, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to tell anyone. I agree. I'm scared. Like, there's stories about journalists and stuff who are about to break a case, and then, like, there's some very dodgy stuff that happens. Like, I don't think it was in medicine, but she was this journalist who had broken a ton of cases, and she was off to give a report or something, and her brakes failed on her car, and she went into a pond.
I mean, there's a guy who genetically modified tomatoes, so when they grew, they looked like ducks.
Yeah.
And he and his wife mysteriously died in an accident. And, like, the secret of their duck tomatoes was lost with them. Like, if you want a conspiracy theory.
Well, and that's the sort of thing where I could actually see, like, a hit being put out on them, right?
Yeah.
Like big tomato. Like, actually, the produce companies are evil. Like, Dole, they conquered Hawaii, right? Like there is...
The Banana Republic.
Yeah, the Banana Republic, famous for that. That was Chiquita. And so there's these companies that are famous for, like, just actually overthrowing governments or causing mass misinformation campaigns to get what they want, right?
Yeah.
Or the Iranian revolution back in, was it the 60s? I don't know when that was. The 70s, maybe?
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, one government agent who...
That was the Arab Spring?
I'm not sure. My history on that whole region's not very good. But there was, like... He started a revolution on his own, basically.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll give you $5 million. Just go in there and do what you can. And he basically hired protesters, and he hired people to beat the protesters, and he hired people to be upset about the protesters were beaten. And
hey, where are you getting your money? Guy just punches someone else. Oh, it's Frank Smith.
Yeah.
Weird. Imagine that. He's also like, hey, stop being that guy. Whoa. We're both getting paid by Frank Smith. Oh, really? Yeah. Same.
Yeah, actually, Frank Smith paid me to figure out that you guys were both getting paid. Wait. So that's the story about it, right? Like, it might not be true because, again, these things grow in the telling. But it's like The Wasp, that book where the guy takes on a planet on his own, basically through a revolution.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably based on him, actually. But there is stuff where conspiracies happen. But I would hope for something like cancer cure. Like, come on. Like, or it could be like... I think what it would be more likely is like, look, this thing is like 15% better than the current best medicine. It costs nothing to make. You can make it yourself with like orange juice and a rusty nail or something, right? It would destroy our funds to the point where our research department couldn't actually help more people. Like, this would be a net negative for humanity if we told them about this thing that barely is an improvement over what we're doing already. right? Like that's the sort of mindset these people, I hope, would be having if there was. So there isn't actually a cure, it's just a bit better, and they don't want to look into it because it's undercutting profits that could, benefit humanity overall, sort of thing. That's my hope.
Yeah, that's a story they can tell themselves so they can sleep at night.
Yeah, I hope there's
on their piles of money.
I hope there's at least that story.